everyone, welcome back. We're
Well,
doing a deep dive today into something I think we've all struggled with,
oh, yeah,
procrastination.
for sure.
Um, and we've got this really interesting research from the journal Research in Teaching and Developmental Education. And
Okay.
it's not just about like those time management tips.
Right.
We're going to like unpack the psychology behind WHY we procrastinate.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it might just change how you view those procrastination habits.
Well, one thing that this research really kind of debunks
Okay.
is this misconception that procrastination is all about laziness.
You're so right. I've definitely fallen into that trap myself. Like, ugh, just being lazy.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it's something much deeper than that.
Procrastinators often, they're very, very active just before deadlines,
Oh, yeah.
pulling all-nighters and stuff.
I mean, totally. We've all been there.
Right. So it's not really a lack of willingness to work.
Mm.
The research suggests that procrastination can be a way to protect our self-esteem.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, like, we're subconsciously creating a buffer.
Mhm.
If we fail after procrastinating, we can just blame it on not having enough time,
Right.
not on our own abilities.
Exactly. And that actually leads us to the heart of the matter here.
Okay.
Fear and anxiety.
Oh.
This research highlights the role of these emotions in fueling procrastination.
Yeah.
We fear things like failure, judgment,
Yeah.
not meeting expectations.
Have you ever noticed that, like, you're more likely to procrastinate on the tasks that have a lot of pressure or a lot of uncertainty?
Absolutely.
It's like that fear response kicks in and just throws us off track.
Yeah, but what's really interesting is this research suggests that even the way we approach time management can backfire.
Okay.
Like making giant to-do lists can actually increase stress and lead to more procrastination.
Oh, that is a really good point. I've definitely had that feeling of overwhelm looking at a massive to-do list.
Right.
So what's the alternative?
It seems counterintuitive,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes a more flexible approach can work. Focusing on completing tasks and rewarding yourself for progress can be better than a rigid schedule.
So it's not just about managing time, it's about managing those underlying emotions
Yes.
and finding a system that works for your individual needs.
Exactly.
I like that.
And a key to breaking free from this procrastination is to shift away from that fear-based motivation
Okay.
to a more positive and productive approach.
Okay.
The research really emphasizes finding what we call intrinsic motivation.
Okay, so for our listeners who might not be familiar with intrinsic motivation, what does that look like?
So intrinsic motivation, it comes from within.
Okay.
It's about finding genuine interest in the task itself, a desire to learn and grow, or maybe you have a sense of purpose that drives you forward.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about external rewards or pressures,
Gotcha.
but about that inherent satisfaction of doing the activity.
So tapping into that drive that makes you want to do something,
Right.
not because you have to.
Exactly. And when we can connect with that intrinsic motivation, procrastination becomes less of an obstacle.
I can see how that would make a difference.
Yeah.
So instead of focusing on, I have to do this,
Mm-hmm.
it's more about, why am I doing this? What are my goals here?
Right.
That personal meaning.
It's giving you a lot to think about in terms of your own procrastination.
It really is, yeah. This is great stuff.
It's definitely a journey of self-discovery. And I think as we delve deeper into this research, we're going to find even more practical strategies and insights that can help you overcome this and achieve your goals.
I'm excited to learn more. What else does this research reveal about how we can stay actively engaged and break free from those procrastination cycles?
So one important thing is that passive learning leads to boredom and frustration,
Right.
which, as you can imagine, fuels procrastination.
Makes sense.
So finding ways to actively engage with material is crucial.
That makes a lot of sense. If you're just passively absorbing information, it's easy to lose focus and motivation.
Yeah,
But how can we make things more engaging? Does the research offer any advice?
it does. One suggestion is to set your own purpose for each reading assignment or learning session.
Okay.
By finding your own personal why for engaging with the material, you make it more meaningful and more relevant to your own goals.
That's a great tip. It's about taking ownership of
Yes,
your learning experience.
exactly.
I'm ready to dive into some more of those practical techniques.
Okay.
What else does this research offer?
Well, let's explore the summary of tips section. It outlines some pretty effective approaches.
Okay, I'm all ears. Let's break them down.
One technique that stands out is called Swiss cheese it.
Swiss cheese it. I've never heard of that. What's that all about?
So imagine a block of Swiss cheese
Okay.
full of holes.
Right.
This technique is all about breaking down those big, overwhelming tasks into smaller, more manageable chunks,
Okay.
like poking holes in the block of cheese.
I love that analogy.
Right.
Instead of feeling overwhelmed by the whole thing, you just focus on completing those smaller pieces.
Exactly. And each time you complete a chunk, you gain momentum and you build a sense of accomplishment, which can further motivate you to keep going.
It's like a positive feedback loop. Okay, what else do we have?
Another powerful strategy is the importance of self-talk.
Hmm.
So the research emphasizes replacing negative thoughts with positive and affirming statements that align with your goals.
Yeah, that makes sense. We all have that inner critic
Mm.
that can sometimes sabotage our efforts.
For sure.
So it's about becoming mindful of those negative thoughts and consciously choosing to replace them with positive ones.
Exactly. It's about cultivating a more supportive inner dialogue that encourages you to keep moving forward.
This is already giving me so many ideas
Yeah.
for tackling my own procrastination habits. What other gems of wisdom does this research offer?
Well, one strategy that might seem a little counterintuitive is called unscheduling.
Unscheduling. That sounds almost like the opposite of what we should be doing.
Right.
Don't we need a schedule to stay on track?
Right. Well, for some people, a rigid schedule can actually create more anxiety and lead to procrastination.
Okay.
This technique suggests trying a more flexible approach,
Yeah.
where you focus on completing tasks and rewarding yourself for progress
Mm-hmm.
without being bound by a strict timetable.
So it's about finding a system that feels empowering rather than constricting,
Yeah,
honoring your individual needs and preferences.
exactly. The key is to experiment and discover what works best for you.
Yeah.
Some people thrive on structure,
Right.
while others need more flexibility.
This is also insightful. I'm curious to explore more of these strategies and delve a little deeper into those psychological factors that contribute to procrastination.
Yeah.
I'm ready to keep diving deeper.
All right, let's do it.
Before the break, we were talking about how unscheduling
Right.
can be a helpful strategy.
Mhm.
What are some signs that a rigid schedule might actually be backfiring and leading to more procrastination?
One sign is that feeling of overwhelm
Oh, yeah.
we talked about earlier. If you're constantly feeling stressed and pressured by your schedule,
Right.
it might be time to kind of reassess.
Okay.
Another sign is if you find yourself avoiding tasks that are on the schedule,
Yeah.
delaying things.
It's like my subconscious is rebelling against that.
Right, like it's just not working for you.
So how can someone transition from that rigid schedule to a more flexible approach?
A good starting point, I think,
Hmm.
is to identify those non-negotiable tasks in your day or week.
Okay.
The things that have to happen at a specific time.
Right, like meetings.
Meetings, appointments, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Then instead of scheduling every minute,
Okay.
try creating blocks of time for different activities.
Like focus time.
Yeah, focus
The
time.
creative time.
Creative time, errands, admin tasks.
So it's about creating a framework
Yeah,
that allows for flexibility,
exactly.
takes the pressure off
Yeah.
of having to stick to that rigid timetable.
Within those blocks,
Yeah.
you can prioritize based on importance and urgency. The key is to find what's manageable and sustainable for you.
This is making me rethink my whole approach to scheduling.
Yeah,
It's a good reminder that there's no one size fits all.
right. It's very individual.
Speaking of individual needs,
Yes.
I'm curious to learn more about the role of fear and anxiety in procrastination.
Okay.
It's not just about laziness or poor time management,
Right.
but about those deeper emotional barriers.
You're absolutely right. Fear and anxiety, they're often at the root of our procrastination habits.
Yeah,
We might be afraid of failing, not meeting expectations, or being judged by others.
I think we can all relate to that.
Yeah, it's pretty universal.
So how do those fears actually manifest as procrastination?
Okay, so let's say you have a big project due.
Okay.
If you're struggling with a fear of failure, you might delay starting it
Mm-hmm.
because you're afraid of not doing well.
Yeah,
You might overthink every detail,
right.
get stuck in that analysis paralysis,
Total.
or just avoid it altogether.
Because it feels too overwhelming.
Exactly, that potential for failure is just too much.
It paralyzes us,
Right.
prevents us from taking action.
So if fear is often the driving force behind procrastination, how can we learn to manage those fears and move forward? That is the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this research actually offers some valuable insights and strategies.
Okay, great.
One of the most powerful is self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Recognizing those fears, understanding how they're driving your behavior, and then choosing to act in spite of them.
So shifting from fear to courage.
Yes.
Self-belief.
It's about acknowledging those fears without letting them control you.
Yeah.
Saying, yes, I'm afraid, but I'm going to do it anyway.
That's so empowering.
It is.
It's about reclaiming our power,
Hmm.
choosing to move forward even when we're feeling uncomfortable.
Exactly.
So are there any other strategies to help manage those fears and anxieties?
One helpful technique is breaking down tasks into smaller steps,
Like with the Swiss cheese method.
exactly like the Swiss cheese method. By focusing on those smaller steps, you reduce the overall feeling of overwhelm.
Right. It makes it seem less intimidating.
Right, and each time you complete a step,
Yeah.
you build a sense of accomplishment, and that momentum further reduces the anxiety and fear.
It's a positive feedback loop.
It is a positive feedback loop.
Mm.
And along with those practical strategies, it's important to cultivate self-compassion.
Okay.
This research really emphasizes that procrastination is a common human experience.
Right.
It's not a character flaw.
That's such an important reminder.
It is.
It's so easy to get caught up in self-judgment
Yes.
when we procrastinate.
It's about being kinder to yourself,
Absolutely.
recognizing that we all make mistakes.
Hmm.
We all have areas where we struggle,
Yeah.
and it's okay to not be perfect.
That's a message we all need to hear.
Yes.
Self-compassion and understanding.
Absolutely.
So crucial.
When we can approach ourselves with that kindness and understanding, we're more likely to make sustainable changes and break free from those negative patterns.
So it's not about beating ourselves up.
Right.
It's about learning from our experiences,
Yes.
finding ways to move forward.
And part of that process is connecting with our intrinsic motivation.
Okay.
The research highlights that when we have a strong sense of purpose and meaning behind our goals,
Right.
we're less likely to procrastinate.
It becomes more of a pull than a push.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not about forcing ourselves.
Yeah.
It's about tapping into that inner drive that makes us want to learn and grow.
Finding things that light us up,
Yes.
that fuel our motivation.
It's a journey of self-discovery, and it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
Be curious, experiment, and find what truly inspires you.
This whole conversation's been so insightful. I'm feeling more empowered to tackle my procrastination.
That's great to hear.
Remember, progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
Speaking of progress, I'm ready to keep moving forward
Okay.
with this deep dive.
All right.
What other insights does this research offer?
Well, one area it touches on is the importance of our environment and the people we surround ourselves with
Interesting.
when we're trying to be productive.
Yeah.
It suggests that repeatedly placing yourself in situations where you don't get much done,
Okay.
like studying in bed
Ooh.
or at a cafe with friends,
Oh my gosh. I am so guilty of that.
it can actually become a form of procrastination.
I love working in cafes,
Yeah.
but I have noticed that my productivity takes a nosedive
Right.
when I'm there.
It's like you're subconsciously setting yourself up
Yeah.
for procrastination.
So it's about being mindful of those cues
Yes.
and triggers in our environment.
By making conscious choices
Right.
that support your goals.
So if I know I'm more likely to procrastinate in a certain setting or with certain people,
Yeah,
it might be time to reevaluate.
exactly. Create a more supportive environment.
So it's about taking ownership of our surroundings,
Yes.
making sure they align with our intentions.
Exactly.
What other environmental factors does the research highlight?
One interesting point is the impact of technology.
Oh, yeah.
While technology can be incredibly helpful for productivity,
Mm-hmm.
it can also be a major source of distraction.
That's true.
You know, those constant notifications.
Yes.
The social media feeds the endless stream of information.
Wow, it's overwhelming.
It's easy to get sucked into that digital vortex and
Absolutely.
lose sight of our goals.
So how can we manage those distractions?
Well, there are a few practical strategies that can be helpful.
Okay.
One is to set boundaries around your technology use.
Like setting specific times.
Yeah, specific times for checking email, social media,
Okay.
rather than letting them interrupt you all day.
Gotcha.
Another strategy is to actually utilize technology to your advantage.
Okay. How do you do that?
There are apps and tools designed to block distracting websites
Okay.
or limit your time on social media.
That's a good idea.
So it's about using technology as a tool
Yeah.
rather than letting it control you.
So we're managing those external distractions.
Right.
But what about the internal ones?
This research emphasizes the importance of being present and mindful
Okay.
when you're engaging in tasks.
Yeah.
It's about bringing your full attention to the present moment, not letting your mind wander to worries about the past
Right.
or anxieties about the future.
Mindfulness is so key for
Yep.
staying grounded.
It's about quieting that mental chatter,
Mm-hmm.
bringing our attention back to the task at hand.
So when we cultivate that inner focus,
Yes.
we're less likely to get sidetracked.
By distractions, both internal and external.
This is so helpful.
Good.
I'm feeling more equipped
Good.
to tackle my procrastination
That's great.
and create a more supportive environment for productivity.
I'm glad to hear that.
What other insights does this
Mhm.
research offer?
One key takeaway
Yeah.
is that procrastination is often rooted in a desire to avoid discomfort.
Oh, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
It's human nature.
Right. We want to avoid discomfort.
But if we're always avoiding those uncomfortable feelings,
Yes.
we're just perpetuating this cycle.
Exactly. And this research suggests one way to break free is to start reframing our relationship with discomfort.
Reframing our relationship with discomfort.
Okay, it's about recognizing that discomfort is a natural part of life,
Mm-hmm.
and it's often a sign that we're growing and stretching ourselves beyond our comfort zones.
So instead of viewing discomfort as something to avoid,
Right.
we can start to see it as a signal that we're on the right track.
Exactly. It's about shifting our perspective
Mm-hmm.
and recognizing that discomfort is not always a bad thing.
Okay.
It can be a catalyst
Yeah,
for growth and transformation.
that's a powerful reframe.
It is.
It's about embracing the challenge,
Yes.
knowing that those uncomfortable feelings are a sign that we're pushing ourselves to learn and evolve.
Exactly.
This is giving me so much to think about.
Yeah.
It's like a whole new way of approaching these challenges
It is.
and overcoming those procrastination tendencies.
Yes.
I'm curious to hear more about the practical side of this.
Okay.
How can we start to reframe our relationship with discomfort? How can we make it work for us?
That's a great question, and one that we'll explore further in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll delve into specific techniques and mindset shifts.
I'm excited to dive into that.
Let's do it.
As we wrap up our exploration of procrastination, I'm feeling incredibly motivated.
Oh, that's great to hear.
We've uncovered so many insights.
It's amazing how understanding the why behind a behavior can empower us to change it.
Absolutely. Before the break, you mentioned reframing our relationship with discomfort.
Yes.
How can we make that shift?
Well, it starts with recognizing that discomfort is an inevitable part of growth and progress.
Okay.
When we step outside our comfort zones, there's going to be some discomfort.
Yeah, it's like anything worth achieving requires us to stretch ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And instead of seeing that discomfort as a signal to retreat,
Mm-hmm.
we can see it as an indicator that we're on the right path.
So it's about reframing that internal dialogue. Instead of, this is uncomfortable, I need to stop. It's, this is uncomfortable, but I'm going to keep going.
Precisely. It's about shifting from avoidance to acceptance
Okay.
and even embrace.
We don't need to seek out discomfort,
Right.
but we can choose how we respond to it.
Exactly.
I love that. It's about reclaiming our power.
Yes.
So what are some practical strategies for this?
One technique is to notice and acknowledge the discomfort.
Okay.
Instead of pushing it away, just observe it with curiosity.
Like, okay, I'm feeling uncomfortable. This is interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as you become more aware,
Yeah.
you can explore the thoughts and beliefs fueling it.
Like, what am I telling myself that's making me feel this way?
Right. Are those thoughts helpful or are they holding you back?
It's like we're detectives of our own mind.
Exactly. And as you bring those patterns to light, you can challenge them
Okay.
and replace them with more empowering beliefs.
Like, discomfort is temporary.
Yes.
I can handle this.
Exactly. It's about shifting from a fear-based mindset to a growth-based mindset.
And that makes us more resilient.
It does.
We're less likely to let discomfort stop us.
Along with those mindset shifts, there are practical strategies too.
Like what?
Breaking down tasks into smaller steps.
Like we talked about with the Swiss cheese method.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
By focusing on those smaller steps, we reduce that overwhelm.
It's about creating momentum.
Yes. Celebrating those small wins.
And connecting with our intrinsic motivation.
Right. When we have a strong sense of purpose, we're more likely to persevere.
So it's about the why.
Exactly. And finally, don't forget self-care.
Oh, that's so important.
When you're pushing yourself, it's essential to take breaks, recharge.
Self-care is essential.
It is. It's about honoring your needs.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
I feel like I have a whole new perspective on procrastination.
Remember, you're not alone in this. We all struggle with it.
That's a good point.
The key is to keep learning, keep experimenting, and keep moving towards your goals.
Thank you so much for joining us today on this deep dive into procrastination.
It's been a pleasure. We hope you've gained some valuable insights and feel empowered to tackle your own procrastination challenges. Remember, progress, not perfection, is the goal. Celebrate those small wins, practice self-compassion, and keep moving forward one step at a time. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.